Good morning. I'm Sharon Gooch. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a member of our board of directors. Welcome to White Bear Unitarian Universalist Church. We are a community of youths, adults, and children of many diverse theologies, held together by covenant, not creed. Together, we share the values of courage, reverence, and compassion. Welcome especially to our visitors. We are glad you are here. May you know deep welcome and belonging in this place. We encourage that welcome by asking everyone to wear a name tag. To share a request for today's meditation, please place it in the chat box before the opening hymn or add it to our meditation bowl. Please gain consent before you use someone's full name. The meditation bowl is in the Soul Work Center, along with some activities to help people of all ages engage with today's service. This Wednesday, you are invited to join us for supper at 5:30 p.m., followed by two events, our weekly choir rehearsal and our pledge-related course charting conversation. In these small group discussions, you will be asked to reflect on how you engage at church, what you love, and what you hope for WBUUC. Your input will help us deepen our relationships and move forward in strengthened covenant. Nursery care is provided. If you can't make that one, please sign up for the next one happening next Sunday, March 24th from 12:30 to 2 p.m. Mark your calendars for a few other exciting opportunities over the next few months. On Thursday, March 21st, we will be hosting a spring equinox service with potluck beforehand and a bonfire with s'mores and a sing-along afterwards. On Sunday, March 24th, we are hosting Bring Yourself Sunday. Ice cream sundaes will be provided, and Peter Mayer will be providing the music. We hope you can join us in person. If you're unable to join us in person on that day, would you please record a video of yourself waving at the congregation? Then send it to web, W-E-B, at WBUUC.org to be included in that morning's service. The WBUUC's men's group is holding a weekend retreat, April 26th through the 28th at the Osprey Wilds Nature Center near Sandstone. This event is open to all men from our WBUUC community. No need to have previously attended any men's group's activities. Registration is required. See the article in the e-news or contact Michael Martini for more details. Please also join us for an Earth Day concert by Peter Mayer on Monday, April 22nd. Tickets are only $30, which is a huge bargain, and they are on sale now. Seating is general admission. Doors will open at 6:30 p.m. and the concert will begin at 7 p.m. Light refreshments will be available. Ticket link in our e-news or on our website. The OK Factor was scheduled to be our guest musicians this morning. Unfortunately, Olivia is at home caring for a sick family member. Thank you to Laura Stone Girage, thank you. I even asked her right before this. Laura Stone Girage for stepping in on such short notice to accompany Carla, the K of the OK Factor. We appreciate both of them. And now we have a video from some of our members about why they pledge to this congregation.
Hi, I'm Heather McLean.
And I'm Chris Formby.
We've been coming to WBUUC for about 7 years. What we love about this church is how welcoming and supportive it is. We recently have been going through a really difficult time in our lives, and the community has really reached out to embrace us and sustain us.
WBUUC is a wonderful community of friends and family that provides support and meaning for our family. Our church is always a source of hope and happiness.
So we pledge so that we can ensure that the fantastic programming, the incredible staff, everything can continue to be offered. The music, the dinners, all of the events.
We also pledge because of the choir, the cookies, and the Wednesday night dinners.
Thank you.
Hi, Steve Kahn, he, him. I sat down intending to add my heartfelt story about how important our church has been in my life, but this memory from a long ago pledge drive kept interrupting. About 10 or 12 years ago, some lighthearted brainstorming at a pledge committee meeting yielded a hypothetical 7 principles of WBUUC pledging. They weren't real, never got them approved or endorsed, never used them. Here they are. Only members and households know what they can afford to pledge, considering all of their financial obligations. All pledges are equally valued, no matter their monetary value. Church works best when everyone participates in pledge drives. No pressure, no guilt, just plain talk about finances, real numbers, the way families do with their budgets. Some households with mortgages and future college expenses will have their pledging limited more than some empty nesters with children launched and mortgages paid off. And that gives us a distribution of pledges in our church, and I think all churches, many in a middle range, fewer at both extremes. Maybe 40 or so households pledging $1,000 or less, 50 pledging between $1,000 and $2,000, 100 between $2,000 and $3,000, 125 maybe pledging between $3,000 and $4,000, 50 pledging between $4,000 and $6,000, and maybe 10 or 20 families and households pledging above $6,000. And if there had been an 8th principle way back when, it might have been that when everyone shows up, pledges what they can, a congregation of about 375 households can support an annual budget of about $1 million. So thanks for watching, listening. That's all I have. Bye.
So ends our announcements. Welcome to our church. Together we grow our souls and serve the world in love.
Come in. Come into this place which we make holy by our presence. Come in with all your vulnerabilities and strengths, fears and anxieties, loves and hopes. For here you need not hide, nor pretend, nor be anything other than who you are and who you are called to be. Come into this place where we can touch and be touched, heal and be healed, forgive and be forgiven. Come into this place where the ordinary is sanctified, the human is celebrated, the compassionate is expected. Come into this place. Together we make it a holy place. I'm Reverend Jack, and my pronouns are he, him.
Hi, my name is Kiara Kerrigan, and my pronouns are she, her. This month's theme is generosity. Throughout my life, I've realized how important it is to me when someone is generous with me, and how my generosity can positively affect others. When I was younger, around 7 years old, I told my grandma how pretty I thought her bracelet was. She then took it off her wrist and she put it on mine. I would have had that bracelet here, but it's sitting on my dresser because I forgot to put it on this morning. And this bracelet has stayed with me in my room throughout the past 9 or so years of my life. This bracelet reminds me of how special it was to me when my grandma shared something of hers with me, because she wanted me to enjoy it as much as she did. Whether it's listening to someone, giving them a gift, or sharing a part of yourself with them, generosity shows someone that you're thinking about them and that you care. I light this chalice for thoughtfulness and the love shown through generosity.
Please join me in the opening words. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Please rise in body or spirit for our opening hymn, which is, Laura? My life flows on in endless song. Oh, I love that one. For our story time today, I get to share a bit about my belief box. It's both exciting and nerve-wracking. We have a practice here at this church, as many of you know, where people share more about their beliefs and their values. Sometimes that takes the form of a message called a This I Believe, like what will happen twice later in today's service. And sometimes it takes the form of someone describing their belief box. And that's what I get to do now. So this morning I want to tell you about mine. First, let's start with this acorn. I know you can't see it yet. It's not real, at least not in the sense that it's visible or weighs anything in my hand. It's actually an imaginary acorn, which is arguably more important than a real one. Whenever I need to think about what seed is being planted in me or around me, I can pull out this imaginary acorn and ponder it. Maybe I'm learning a new lesson or learning something about myself or about someone I know or love. Whatever that is, this acorn helps me remember that all of us are growing constantly throughout our lives. Just like acorns grow into trees and keep growing taller and taller, it helps me remember that I'm a lifelong learner. Well, really, it helps remember that all of us are lifelong learners, and that is a great thing. Oh, I almost dropped it, sorry. I wouldn't want to live in a world where we don't learn and grow throughout our lives. It just doesn't sound very interesting to me. Next, I have these beautiful handcrafted bookmarks that state the principles and values of Unitarian Universalism. Values like the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all, or goals like the way we use our democratic process to ensure everyone has a voice. The one that grabbed me the most when I first encountered these is actually the first one that says we believe and affirm the inherent worth and dignity of every person. These values guide me, and they were beautiful to find. Because I believe in the power and value of communities, I also have this paper chain. Here at church, we make a lot of these, and it is often our way of making visible the fact that we are a community of people with differences. Like this chain has paper of different colors, but we are all linked together. What happens to you affects me, and what happens to me affects you. In the language of our UU principles, this is interdependence, and it is a very important part of my belief system. Next, I have this mini chalice with an electronic candle. This reminds me of the importance of taking a breath and setting aside time together, especially when we are with other people, making time special. Here at church, we almost always light a chalice before our worship services, our RE classes, our theme circles, our board meetings, and our Wednesday night dinners. Some of our families even light a chalice at home, sometimes before a meal or before a hard conversation. It serves as a reminder that we are special people who can make time special by pausing and noticing what happens when we move through life paying attention with intention. Next, I have this little dinosaur. Yeah, I know, it's cute. For one thing, I'm pretty fascinated by these creatures that lived so long ago that I never met any of them. Fortunately, we can still learn a lot about them because someone actually made a documentary and called it Jurassic Park. I don't know, has anyone seen? Oh, that wasn't a documentary? Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. Well, I have this little dinosaur here because I love learning about the world through science, but it's also a toy. And I love playfulness and puzzles. The existence of dinosaurs and how they went extinct is a bit of a puzzle, and I love thinking about it. And sometimes, when you're done thinking about things, it's also fun to play, too. And lastly, I have this smooth rock. I grew up right here in Minnesota, and I've always lived pretty close to the Great Lakes. I feel a very special connection to these lakes and to this land that I have called home for almost all of my 42 years on this planet. And whenever I'm there at one of the Great Lakes, I always admire these rocks and stones you can find. They've been turned about in the water so much and for so many years that their jagged edges have been made smooth. Sometimes people use machines to make them even smoother, like they did with this one. But many rocks become this smooth on their own, just through time and the erosion of water. This feels like a perfect metaphor for the way that jagged edges can be made smooth through time and patience. Hard things are still hard, but people learn how to adapt to them and integrate those hard lessons into who they are. And the pain caused by the jagged edges hurt less and less over time. None of us are perfectly smooth like this rock, but we are all learning lessons as we go through life, and that's so important. So thanks for listening today to me share about the contents of my belief box. And if you leave today thinking about just one thing, I hope it is a sense of wonder about what is in your own. Gathered as we are today, about, 100 people here in this room. And how many households do we have on Zoom this morning? 41. Let's take a moment, pause to breathe. Find a comfortable seat for your body. Your shoulders fall away from your ears. And let some of that stress and tightness melt away on this cold day. Settle into a sense of groundedness and feel connected to those around you. Be here, right here, in this moment of space and time. This morning, we recognize that all of us come together out of a unique combination of joys and sorrows, celebrations and concerns, successes and failures, worries and anxieties, challenges and profound sadness. Here in this moment, we create a container big enough to hold them all, breathing in peace and breathing out love. Some of us are struggling with addiction, healing from trauma, facing challenges that feel insurmountable, and processing deep losses. Some of us are marking important milestones, celebrating the end of a hard chapter or the beginning of an exciting chapter. Many of us are holding a multitude of these emotions all at the same time. And in this swirl of things, may we each find our footing, both individually and together, as we chart our course forward. This morning, this community has many people to hold in light and in love. The family of Judy Ottman, as they mourn her death. She died on Tuesday. There will be a memorial next Saturday. Please, no flowers, just give to the UUSC in her behalf. We also pray for two of Margie Schmidt's nieces. One has 3 children under 3 and just found out this week that she has brain cancer and will have surgery on March 26th. The other niece has 4 teenagers and found out this week that she has breast cancer. Surgery date yet to be scheduled. Prayers of healing and steady recovery for them both. We have a request here for a friend, Lisa, a successful surgery on Monday and a speedy recovery. We also think of Lisa Lamb as she recovers from a fall which re-injured her arm, which she had just had surgery on. Another surgery is scheduled, and we send additional prayers of healing and support. And now we take a moment to name out loud those we're holding in light and love. Spirit of life, Spirit of love, Spirit of mystery and wonder, be with us and among us today. Encourage us and buoy our spirits. As we hear from 2 of our beloved members about what they believe and what they value, may we also meditate on what we believe and value. May we be bolstered in our values and inspired by the passion of our fellow sojourners on this path called life. And from that place of passionate connection, may we support each other. May we hold one another as we face life together, knowing that we can hold it all. May it be so, and amen. Please remain seated as we sing together hymn number 396 in the gray hymnal, I Know This Rose Will Open. We'll sing it through 3 times.
This is the moment in the service where we practice gratitude and support in the form of giving to our offering plate. But before we do, we just want to make it clear that your gifts to this church are appreciated. They are vital to the sustenance and thriving of our congregation. The gifts that are given in this moment help sustain the congregation. And at the same time, we are in the middle of our pledge campaign, and that is your way of telling this congregation and its board what you plan to give next year. This act of pledging is a crucial step which allows your board of directors to approve the right-sized budget for this congregation, to pay its staff fairly and equitably, to sustain its programs and this beautiful building. We thank you for taking the time this month to think about what you hope and plan to give to this congregation during the next fiscal year. There are a couple ways you can give today. You can use the text to give feature. The number is in the order of your service. You can give on the website, or you can place cash or check in the offertory basket. We thank you for your generosity and your faith in this life we live together. The offering will now be gratefully collected.
Our first This I Believe speaker is Aislinn Cole. Aislinn's family has been coming to WBUUC since they were only 6 months old. They are a senior at Roseville Area High School and a member of the swim and dive team there for the past 6 years. I just want to also take some ministerial license here to say how proud I am of Aislinn. They went through the coming of age program a few years ago, and now that they are old enough, they have signed our membership book. They are also serving their second year as our youth representative on our board of directors. It has been a joy to see them come of age and continue to grow up and into themselves. I'm so excited to see where they will go next. Please welcome Aislinn Cole.
My name is Aislinn, and my pronouns are they, she. My family has always seen pets as an important part of a happy life. We have 11 currently, and our most recent adventure has been with guinea pigs. A few years ago, we adopted one hoping he could be a companion for the boy we already had at home. It turned out that not only was she a girl, but she was already pregnant. We weren't originally going to keep the babies, although once I held each tiny one in my hands, there was no way I was giving them up. I've always had a passion for animals. They've preoccupied my interest over the course of my whole life. I was the one who was asking for an Arctic fox plushie for Christmas when I could barely even talk yet. I've had pets my whole life. They're not just an interest, but an integral part of who I am. They have taught me so much about responsibility and empathy, about life and death. They've also taught me about patience. I'll never forget the day we picked up my first rabbit. His name was Shadow, and he was so small that the woman who brought him to us handed him to me, and I didn't even realize she had been holding him in her mittens. When we took him home, I spent the whole next day trying to coax him out of his cage so I could play with him. When I finally managed to get him to come out, I was elated. I will forever be grateful for the experiences I got to have with Shadow. He was a big part of what fostered this passion for animals that I have, and now, 10 years later, I will remember those moments forever, and it just confirms in me more this passion. The connection I have with my animals has a spiritual quality. They have been one thing in my life that has always been stable, even when few other things are. They give me safety when everything else in my life is vulnerable. The love and trust I have been able to give them and they express back to me is incomparable. About a day after our guinea pig, Robin, had given birth, she became overwhelmed by the 4 babies that were dependent on her. I decided to take her out of the cage to give her a break. Within 5 minutes, she was asleep on my lap. For a guinea pig that I had only owned for about a month, this was surprising to me. I did the same thing with her every night for about 2 weeks, and the same thing happened every time. To this day, the bond I have with Robin is very special, and I will never forget her either. This attachment I have with my pets has always been important and unique, but it has felt even more so in the past few years. It has become so crucial because of my chronic illness. I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a connective tissue disorder, and an autonomic dysfunction, which in basic terms is a nervous system that doesn't function properly. These conditions have uprooted most parts of my life, leaving me with ongoing grief and frustration. The isolation that comes with being chronically ill is profound. Because of how sick I have been over the past few years, I've also been predominantly homebound. I have spent the majority of my high school career completing work from the recliner chair in my living room. As much as this may sound nice, in reality, it's extremely hard, and I've struggled to have enough motivation even to just take care of myself. Not only does this mean that schoolwork has been unnecessarily complicated, but it also means that it is difficult to sustain relationships. I have lost many friends because I'm simply just not around. The one thing that helps me through this, though, is the companionship I still have at home with my animals. I am enough for them, even with my illness. My relationship with them is uncomplicated and unconditional. They calm the turbulent storm inside my head. On days where I question if I have any purpose, they give me that purpose. The love I have for animals is not only a hobby, but it's also something I want to make one of my life's purposes. In Dr. Jane Goodall's words, the least I can do is speak for those who cannot speak for themselves. I would like to do just this, give back to the ones who have given me so much. Not only do I envision that I would feel fulfilled in a career of this sort, but it also feels like something I can do to give back. Animals are one of the biggest things in my life that has taught me to be responsible, and now I feel a responsibility to return the favor. This feels especially appropriate to me because of the current state of our Earth. Animals all over the world are suffering as a result of climate change. Not only does this obviously affect their lives, but in turn affects all of our ecosystems. If the animals are not thriving, the ecosystems cannot function. Saving the animals is a key part of saving the Earth and saving ourselves. In the seventh principle, we are guided to have respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. Growing up Unitarian Universalist and at WBUUC has taught me also to value animals and the earth. Learning the principles and seeing the people around me live them has given me a guide for my life. As I've grown up, seeing the adults in our church take action for the things they value has meant the world to me. It is one thing that has shown me that I can have an impact on the world wherever I devote myself. I'll take what I've learned at WB with me this fall to Mankato, where I will be studying zoology. These values will continue to carry me through my life, the good times and the hard, and I know I will always have a safe place in the UU Church. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Rachel Blair Palladino. Rachel and her husband, Jordan, moved to White Bear Lake in 2020, 1 month before the pandemic started. When in-person services restarted here, they attended their first ever Unitarian Universalist service with Reverend Roger. Since then, WBUUC has become their spiritual community. And I would just like to add here that Rachel also serves on the congregation's Social Action Committee. She's committed to adding her voice and her skills to the social action and social justice that this community prioritizes. And I'm so grateful for her work there. Please join me in welcoming Rachel Blair Palladino.
Good morning. My name is Rachel Blair Palladino, and my pronouns are she, her. When Reverend Jack asked me if I would share my this I believe, my first instinct was to say no. Unlike my husband Jordan, who has spoken in front of you all several times, public speaking does not come easy to me. But the timing of Jack's request was impeccable. This year, Jordan and I will celebrate 10 years of partnership. They have been the best years of my life. Somehow each year is better than the last, and we are incredibly lucky to have found a love like ours. Jordan and I have always known that we wanted a family. We love kids and can see ourselves with children. But life hardly goes as planned. Though you cannot see them, I am a person with disabilities. At 22, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease that has reshaped our life plans. When I was 28 and we were ready to start a family, my health declined again, and I was diagnosed with 2 more autoimmune diseases. To our dismay, our doctors advised us not to try for children until my health was in remission. They also shared that my autoimmune diseases would make a pregnancy complicated, calling it high risk. I am incredibly lucky to have a great team of doctors and health insurance that covers my expenses. I know this is part of my privilege. After about a year of treatments, my doctors deemed me in remission and gave us the okay to start trying for a family. We were elated. But again, life has its own plans. Very quickly, we realized that something was wrong. After more doctor appointments and tests, they gave me a diagnosis and told me that I will always struggle with infertility. They told us that we needed to see a fertility doctor. Last December, on a Tuesday afternoon, we met with a specialist who told us that we would need IVF to conceive a child. 3 days later, 2 days before Christmas, I found out that I was pregnant. Despite the odds, we conceived naturally, and I'm happy to share that we're expecting our first child this August. I share all of this for 2 reasons. Reason 1, I wholeheartedly believe that miracles happen. They come in all shapes and sizes, from a long-awaited COVID vaccine, a birth of a child, a strained relationship reunited, and even a shooting star. I have no idea if miracles come from a higher power, and I don't care. I believe that we should look for miracles, because when they happen, it's amazing. Reason 2, Jack's timing was impeccable. There is nothing quite as terrifying as becoming a parent. Jordan and I ask ourselves daily, how are we going to afford this? Will they be healthy? How will our dog react to not being an only child? And most terrifying, what kind of parents will we be, and what do we hope to pass on to them? I thought a lot about those questions while writing this. The following are a few beliefs my husband and I hope to model as parents, and values that we know that this community will help us navigate and build upon. I believe that finding God or spirituality is a lifelong journey worth taking. I grew up a Christian mutt with influence from Southern Baptist, Catholic, and Lutheran roots. My earliest memories of God come from Sunday school. After a lesson on the flood where the wicked perished and Noah and the animals stayed afloat in the ark, I started having nightmares about God. I distinctly remember these dreams where God would come, bring the rain, and I would desperately try to save my family from perishing in the water. I was 6 when this started. As a young child, I feared God, and I think that may have been the exact purpose of my early religious education. After my parents got divorced, my mother stopped taking my brother and I to church. Instead, she would teach us Sunday school from home, reading us Bible verses that focused on love, generosity, and kindness. After every lesson, she'd ask us what we thought it meant and what truths we could pull from the sacred text. She made it clear that she wanted us to find our own meaning and that she would not enforce her own beliefs on us. Religion was something for us to explore, not to be indoctrinated in. My vision of God has changed countless times, especially when I met my husband. He was the first Jewish person I had ever talked to, and his faith was eye-opening to me. Who knew that some folks don't believe in hell? Jordan taught me that in Judaism, practitioners are encouraged to ask tough questions about their faith. Stump the Rabbi is a popular game among Jewish folks, where congregants try their hardest to find a philosophical or theological question that even the rabbi can't answer. I deeply appreciate my mother's curious approach to faith and Judaism's endorsement of asking tough questions. Being curious and asking questions is what led me to my faith and has given me a deep and rewarding connection to God. And that connection will change. It's a lifelong journey. How wonderful is it that we get to curate our faith, nourishing it with curiosity and questions? We hope to pass on this practice to our own child. I believe that gratitude is not only a way to connect with God, but is key to happiness in life. Early in the pandemic, my husband and I started praying before dinner. We rotate who prays, and our prayers vary from short and sweet to mournful acknowledgments of what's happening in the world. While each night is different, there is a common theme in our prayers: gratitude. Through our dinner prayers, I have been reminded of the things that I often take for granted. My husband's cooking. He's great. Being able to fill a table of 8 with friends, and the sunshine coming in through our dining room window, or in today's case, the snow. I try to practice gratitude every day through prayer and through noticing the world around me. It's through this practice that I'm able to find sparklets, or scraps of everyday life that give me connection to God, and this gives me joy. Sparklets come in many shapes and sizes. Things like the smell of pine sap, the wrinkles around a loved one's smile, a thought-provoking line in a good book. If we notice the sparklets, we can find meaning in them and ultimately be grateful to have witnessed them that day. I believe that gratitude can make you humble, and it can make you understand when you have enough in a world that's constantly telling you to have more. It may also be the most sustainable way to find joy. We hope to pass along this practice of gratitude to our child. And finally, I believe it's our great task to love each other. There are many things I hope to model for my child. In that list are things like kindness, generosity, tolerance, connection, community. That's a big list, and it's a daunting task. But when I think about those values, it's fair to say that love is at the center of them. It's love that drives them. For me, love and God are interchangeable. Acting with love is to be connected with God. And there are so many ways we can act with love. From the way we vote, donating our time and money, fighting white supremacy and capitalistic culture, and by practicing compassion with ourselves and with others. There are many injustices in this world: racism, oppression, poverty, war, homelessness, a woman's right to health care. It's overwhelming. But perhaps love is the answer. It's the most precious thing we have to offer, and I believe it's our great task to draw the circle wider so that each and every one of us is truly loved. Imagine what that would be like if everyone treated each other in our earth with love. I want to thank this community for the love and connection you have shared with Jordan and I. In 2 short years, this church has come to feel like part of our home. It has challenged us and helped us grow spiritually. This is the community we want to raise our child in, and we feel so lucky to be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you very much to both of you for sharing with us. I now want to see many photos of your animals, Aislinn. And I do think here we also play Stump the Rabbi in lots of ways. Thank you to all of you who helped with that. Please rise in body or spirit and join me in the closing hymn, Just as Long as I Have Breath, number 6 in our gray hymnal.
Please join me in the closing words. May peace dwell within our hearts and understanding in our minds. May courage still our will and love of truth forever guide us.